Thanks, Brendan. We're going to wait 1 minute for folks to sort of be let in and get situated, and then we'll go ahead and get started so we don't take the whole afternoon to have these conversations. Thanks everybody for joining us. I see some names of folks that I know out there, so I'm looking forward to having conversations with you all. Give 1 more minute. Peter, glad you can make it today.
It's good to be here.
Doing okay?
Oh, I'm treading water, and the tide is rising.
I hope you can continue to stay afloat. So best of
Yeah,
luck with
yeah.
that.
These airborne campaigns are not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I've been hearing about some weather up there. So yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I think everyone can see my slide, but please unmute and shout at me if at any time you can't. So thank you everyone for joining us today. So we're here as members of the AGU Biogeosciences community and friends, sort of more broadly as well, for the 5th of the AGU Interactive Safety Series, which is focused on what we're calling tabletop or safety exercises. So we'll be having some conversations this afternoon. Today, you're going to get to meet folks that are hosting this particular exercise, which are Carly Arendt, Bob Bolton, Bob Busey, myself, and Andre Santos. All of their shining faces are on your screen now, and they'll be in the breakout rooms in a bit. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the folks who've been sort of talking about and organizing the AGUB safety series that's been ongoing for the year. And that's Margaret Torn, who couldn't be with us today because she's meeting with some fancy people, I hear, but also Janine Ash, Bob Bolton, Sophie Burke, Peter Griffith, myself, and Andre. So just to give you a little intro for the safety series in general, I think all of us know that sort of outdoor classes and research, scientific research outdoors are integral to the kinds of science that we do, even if we're modelers. But that working outside can present physical, emotional, and psychological barriers or risks, especially to folks that might be from different backgrounds. So this sort of interactive safety series that the AGUB section is hosting was begun by members of the community to sort of discuss how to minimize, prepare for, or learn from potential impacts. So I already said thank you to the series organizers, and you can stay tuned because there'll be a few more sessions to come this year. So go ahead and check out that link at the AGU Biogeosciences homepage. So as Margaret set out, the goals for the safety series this year are to raise awareness. So some of us are sort of integrally aware of the pitfalls of some of these things that happen to us in the field. And other folks might not have had to think about it because of some privilege that they might have. So it's to raise awareness of what can happen, to provide resources and training, information, conversations with peers and support, and to move us forward. We want everyone to feel like they're part of a community, a thriving community, because science is always better when we are keeping each other safe. I put a couple of resources here. One is you can learn about the Safe AGU resources by following that link. And also this link for Advanced Geo, which is an amazing team of our peers that is working to raise awareness and keep folks in our community safe. And we are lucky today to have Becca Barnes join us as part of that AGU team. And so we'll look forward to hearing what she has to say as well. So setting the stage for today, originally the tabletop exercises that most of the team here has had experience with was for our project on NG Arctic. And so within the project, we define safety as not just physical safety, but also emotional and psychological safety. And so we wanted to consider how we as team members would respond to an array of circumstances that could affect and impact the safety that we had or that our colleagues had. And I had the opportunity to see some tabletop exercises sort of in person at an Arctic Futures conference where generals and heads of state got around an actual table and talked about what they would do if a nuclear icebreaker ran aground at the Port of Nome. Now, we're not going to be talking about that today, but sort of the gist of having these conversations around tables is something that we wanted to bring to you. And this is taken actually from FEMA, who does these sorts of planning exercises. You can think of them as what if exercises. So there's a link there to some toolkits that FEMA provides. And so we're joined in these discussions by members of our community, the AGUB community, to discuss some real life scenarios. The names have been changed a little bit, or some of the scenarios have been changed, of course, to raise awareness and to raise your level of preparedness. And so really what we want to do today is start some respectful conversations with our colleagues, which Bob will mention a little bit more about that in a second. But we did want to make sure to say at the outset, if you feel uncomfortable with any of these topics or conversations, please do feel free to leave the room or to leave the meeting. The goal isn't to make anyone feel uncomfortable. It's to make folks feel empowered and like they're part of a community that cares. So we wanted to make sure we said that. So the agenda we have for today is in Alaskan time for my colleagues here in Alaska. So I thought they would appreciate that. So sort of setting the stage for you all. Next, Bob is going to talk about expectations for conduct for folks that are attending today. And then we have 5 possible scenarios for folks to choose from, but we're only going to switch 4 times. So you can pick the 4 scenarios you like best and cycle through them. You can go to the same one 4 times and keep talking about the same thing if you want to, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knows there won't be time to do all 5. And we're gonna sort of briefly tell you a little bit about the scenario so you can decide if it's something that makes you a little uncomfortable so you don't go to that particular one. And then after we come back together after these scenarios, I'm going to do a little polling and reflection, and then we're going to hear back from these facilitators of each of the breakout groups about sort of lessons learned that we can all take away with us, and then we are going to adjourn. So now I'm going to turn it over to Bob.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. So before we begin, I would like just to go through some ground rules for ourselves and make sure that we're all respecting each other and making this a positive experience. So the first one that I would like to say is that we would like to demonstrate respect and considerations for everyone here that's participating in this. Communicate openly, listen well, and be considerate of views and opinions different than your own. We welcome a diversity of voices. And with that, I would also just like you to be aware of yourself. And if you're occupying the room with your voice, we want lots of voices and lots of conversation. Each of these sessions is only 15 minutes long before we rotate out. And so there's not a ton of time to get through everything. So be aware of your own voice and listen well, and but also feel empowered to communicate as you wish. Be respectful and acknowledge differing perspectives and know that differing perspectives are valued. Critique the ideas, but not the people. Consider the effect of power differentials in relationships, power positions, and experiences, and other factors to avoid dominance. Take away the lessons learned, but not the specifics of our confidential discussions. With that, none of our breakout sessions will be recorded. We are just recording the plenaries, just so you know. Report concerns so they can be addressed responsibly and in a timely fashion. Respect and maintain the confidentiality of individuals involved. And finally, your questions and comments are important, and we welcome your input via the chat, a raised hand, or polling that will happen at the end of the session. And so with that, I would like the individual people to the facilitators of the breakouts to give summaries of each of their sessions. And so the first one is harassment.
Yeah, so I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Colleen Iverson. For those of you who don't know me, I think I know a lot of folks on the call, but I'm at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and I will be hosting the breakout session on harassment. And just to sum up briefly, the discussion that we'll be having is about being at a remote field camp, being in the kitchen, being approached by a stranger that makes you uncomfortable, and thinking about how you would handle that in the moment, what you would do to prepare for that beforehand, and how you would handle it afterwards, thinking about who you would tell or how you would report it.
Great, thank you. Carly, do you want to introduce yours?
Hi all, I'm Carly Arndt. I'm at North Carolina State University, and today we'll be going through a scenario that's an early careers researcher who's really excited to go into the field for the first time, working with a senior scientist. The person is not cooperative and ends up being a bit insulting, problematic, and creates a unpleasant scenario in the field for the early career person. So we'll talk about what we would do in those situations.
Great, thank you. And I'm doing the disaster scenarios, and I'm going to have two different scenarios. One's going to be an animal encounter in the field, and then I'm going to alternate sessions and then have a vehicle accident and what would happen if you have a severe accident in the fields. And so the first one I'll start out with is the animal encounter, and then the second session will be the vehicle accident, and then I'll switch back to the animal and then to the finish up with the car. Next one would be health emergency. Andre.
Hello, my name is Andre Santos. In this breakout room, we are going to talk about a health emergency in a remote location. So I think I won't do more spoiler. Let's discuss later.
Excellent, thank you. And the last one is Bob Busey with group dynamics.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bob Busey, and I'm talking about a scenario where you're headed as a team, you're headed off to the group, to the field, and you are like from a wide variety of institutions, and everybody has specialties and everybody has subspecialties, and you get there and some people just want to do their stuff instead of the team stuff that we planned beforehand, and just kind of talking about how can you fix that? Can you correct that? Can you still get success if you have people that are just wanting to do their own thing?
Excellent. Thank you, Bob. And so I think what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the breakout rooms. There will be 5 breakout rooms, and you can pick and choose whichever breakout you would like to join. If you find yourself in a room with lots of people, it'd be great to sort of self-moderate and step out and go into another room so that we have some balance between the rooms. But again, if you find something that's very compelling and you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to stay in the same room for all 4 sessions. And so completely up to you, but it'd be great to moderate a little bit so lots of people can talk. Is there anything else that I'm missing, Colleen?
Yeah, I was going to say that Sophie has agreed to herd cats for us. And so she's going to give us a 2-minute warning into rooms. So at 13 minutes, and then at 15, we're going to come back and then reselect a new room and do that 4 times.